Joining us once again, 13 Action News political analyst Jon Ralston. And John, last week we were talking about how the Republicans served up some red meat for the Democrats, and now the Democrats seem to have returned the favor.
Indeed, they have. We were talking about the DNC leak story earlier, Stephen. I talked today to Reince Priebus, who was the chairman of the Republican National Committee. I tried to ask him first some questions about his defense of Donald Trump bringing up Ted Cruz's father again. He was full-throated in his defense. But of course, what he really wanted to talk about was the DNC leaks. And I asked him about Hillary Clinton claiming that she's being held to a different standard. He was having none of that. Listen.
It's hypocrisy. I mean, if anything, she's had the opposite luxury. She's had the luxury of having the National Party grease the wheels for her the entire time, whether it be the debates, whether it be the convention, whether it be the rules, whether it be their staffers helping her with the nomination process. I mean, we're seeing it all unfold. The story has been written for Hillary a long time ago, and people that are supporting Bernie Sanders should be outraged.
You know, earlier we heard about the suspicion that the Russians had hacked into the DNC, right, and the connection to the Trump campaign. His campaign manager, Paul Manafort, had worked for some pro-Putin groups, and that Trump has said that he admires Vladimir Putin. Priebus was dismissing that. He wants to focus on one story and one story only, Steve. That's the leak.
Well, he was also saying earlier that he felt that a fraud had been perpetrated on a lot of Bernie Sanders voters along the way. And when you start throwing that's a pretty strong word. I mean, fraud is...
Well, obviously what Reince Priebus and a lot of the Republicans, including Donald Trump, are trying to do now is peel away some of these disaffected Sanders voters who they think have the same anti-establishment bent. Different appeal from Trump and different appeal from Sanders, but if they're not going to vote for Clinton, they want them in their fold, right? But I don't think that's going to work except with a relatively small number of Sanders supporters. But a relatively small number of votes could decide the election in some states.
And they don't want Hillary to dig out from under that trustworthy hole right now that she's in, along with Trump.
It can't get much deeper than it already is, right?
Right. Thanks, John.